Hey everyone, welcome back to MACkiteboarding Wing Wednesdays. I'm Tucker, and today we're bringing you a special new wing here from North. This is a new product in their lineup for this year, 2024, and that is the Mode Ultra. So if you've been familiar with the North lineup, you've heard the name Mode, you've known that's been their high performance, speedy wing for racing, riding fast in the past couple of years. And in 2023, they released the Mode Pro, which was their pro level construction for the Mode wing, which was an awesome upgrade. And now we have the Mode Ultra here, which is their highest tier construction. This is their no compromises, top tier. This is the best wing, highest performance wing we can make. And they've definitely delivered with some cool new stuff going on here with this wing and a level of performance that hasn't been seen before in their lineup. So pretty stoked on this one. I'm gonna walk you through it real quick, and then I'll bring you my review after that and how it's been after riding these for quite a while now. Been riding the 4.8 and the 5.5, which is a couple of awesome sizes for me as a heavier rider in our conditions. So we'll start at the front here. We've already got something new and exciting going on, some innovation from North. As I mentioned, this is one of their fast wings. This is their race wing, so to speak. So what do we have here? We have a handle. It's an ultra light, low profile handle. But what you can do is it's removable. It's got a dual lap Velcro here. You can just pop that, pull it out of the loop here, and remove the handle entirely. The idea there is you're removing the drag from this kind of front of the wing. You're interrupting that flow of the front of the wing here. And what we do have are some little neoprene covers to cover that up when you're done. What we don't have on this handle is a knuckle guard underneath here. So if you're surfing this wing a lot, we do have some stitching here. We do have the NW 45 material, and that may rub your knuckles a little bit raw. So if you're a surf type person, you know, that's something to consider. If you are going to use the leading edge handle a lot, you might want to wear some gloves or something, or simply surf off the front edge handle here, which is an option as well. Coming down here, we've got the standard North leash here. It's your standard wrist leash here, basic wrist leash with a swivel on it. It does the trick, it works. It's a bungee line, so it is what it is, kind of a leash here. The inflation, we have a single point inflation with a hose here, one pump inflation, but it does have a secondary valve here for independent inflation or deflation if you want to do that. It's just the typical North hose end connection here. You don't need an adapter or anything. Just plug a standard kite hose into there, pump it up. You can just pump it up off of one valve or the other, and then clamp off the strut connection here at the hose to isolate the bladders. And as I mentioned before, you can do them independently as well if you'd prefer to do that, to put them at different pressures. Sometimes you want the strut full pressure, and if you're in some gusty wind or if you're a lighter rider just looking for a softer feel, you can deflate the leading edge slightly to have that at a lower pressure. But you pretty much always want your strut at full pressure, which for this size, the 4.8 is 9 psi is suggested for both. But obviously this is a race wing, so you know, you want it stiff, you want it fast, so you're probably always going to be going, for the most part, full pressure at 9 psi. You will want to pay attention to that for other sizes because that changes depending on the size. Getting into the handles here, we've got our normal grip lock handles, they call them. You may recognize these from previous versions of the Mode Pro, Nova, only these are the carbon version. So the bar here is made out of carbon rather than aluminum. So that gives you something that's lighter weight, which is great. This wing is kind of a mid-weight to begin with, so adding the carbon handles puts that in a lighter category rather than making it to the heavier side of average, which is a good thing to have. So that's solid there. They are removable here. with screws if you really need to pack it down for travel, or if you want to replace one for one reason or another, or maybe in the future they have sort of a boom configuration on it. I don't know, no news on that, but they are removable, so that's great. Gives you some options to do that. All right, so that's kind of some of the basics here with this wing. We'll get to some of the more exciting stuff in the materials, which is really, you know, what's popping the most on this wing. You've probably already noticed the canopy, but we'll start with the NWeave 45 frame. So the leading edge and the strut are both made out of the NWeave 45. That is the same material you'll find in the Mode Pro and the Nova Pro in the leading edge and strut. And this is really North's premier frame material. What it gives you is just a really light, stiff, snappy frame. It's perfect for wings, particularly because it just is so stiff. You've got the NWeave, which is already a very stiff material like you're familiar with from the previous Mode, but then adding the carbon reinforced cross hatching there, 45-45, really levels up the snappiness of this wing, and it really makes the shape of these wings that much more refined, you know, from design blueprint into physical product. This material really allows them to nail those details, and it is so unwavering that they can get the exact frame shape they want every single time with very tight tolerances. So what you're getting from every wing is exactly what the designer intended. It's not sort of a, it's close enough variation with this. So it's pretty special what they're able to do with the quality and the consistency in the product with this NWeave 45 material. But I digress. Let's get to the exciting stuff. The NXI canopy here. This is a laminate canopy with some 45-45 and 0-degree bias reinforcement on it. It is a semi-transparent material. As you can tell, it's not perfectly transparent like a window, but it is sort of an opaque, translucent, I guess is the better word, clear. So you can see sort of shadowy figures on the other side, so it's somewhat useful looking through it to notice if there's another rider straight downwind of you, for instance. But for actually seeing things clearly, you've got your 2 panel windows here, which are ultralight windows, reinforced material on those so that they're not stretching or becoming bagged out prematurely. It really has a nice flow with the canopy here, so it keeps it light, it keeps it tight, and then that way your high performance wing isn't going to be lesser performance in a few months, which is awesome. So it's really some cool material. It's real space agey looking. If you're familiar with some of the laminated canopies in the past that we've used, and a lot of that stuff kind of came from windsurfing, it was a little bit heavy and just not really ideal for winging. You know, didn't give you that light, flowy feel, and definitely, you know, had a lot of extra weight that had to move around, and it would really feel it when you were pumping and luffing and things like that. So the NXI canopy has been developed specifically for winging and what we want, which is lighter weight, but still very tight and snappy and stiff. And I can say that they've definitely hit it out of the park with that after riding it. It is a preview of what we can expect in the future, I think, as all of this stuff evolves in years from now, really where it lands as the optimal wing construction and materials. I think this is a glimpse into the future of what that will become. So that's what it is there with the canopy, and we can talk about that more in my review here in the future. Trailing edge here, we have some additional reinforcement and battens. So we've got 2 on each side, 4 total removable stiff battens, and that just helps cut some of the flutter and keeps the trailing edge nice and tight as you're really ripping at Mach speed, so it's not chattering or deforming in the trailing edge. It really helps that come off nice and clean and flat. Looking at the shape of the wing here, give you guys a peek here. So in the back here, the infill panel, or the baffle, some people would call it, you can see the shape. And even if I didn't tell you this was a fast wing or a race wing, you could see just from this how sleek and slim this is. It does have a very fast airfoil section on this particular wing. And then you get this little bit of a kink off the back end of the strut here where it connects into the back edge of the leading edge, or the back edge of the canopy here, and keeps that back edge nice and flat, as I mentioned before with the battens, excuse me, just right off of there through there. So that whole section of the wing stays nice and flat and fast. Getting into the dihedral, very fast, as you can see, this foil section here, quite flat and sleek. So this thing is fast. It is built for power and speed and making apparent wind in VMG until it's too scary to go any faster. So this has been a pleasure to ride. I've really been excited to ride this wing since I first saw the details of it coming and couldn't wait to get my hands on them. You know, finally got my 4.8, 5.5 to test out. Been riding those for quite a few sessions now, got some time on each of them, and both sizes are fantastic. Really can't wait to ride the other sizes, but for me, at my weight, the 4.8 and the 5.5 are kind of the go-to sizes for our conditions. They have a really high top end range, so expect to ride these a little bigger. If you're riding powered, if you're riding fast, generally you're gonna size up, and these wings are really comfortable doing that. They're very stiff, they're very fast and forward pulling. There's a lot of forward traction in them. So they're a comfortable wing to fly, powered, overpowered, whatever, really fast, and they love to build apparent wind. So starting with kind of what this wing is designed for, I may not be qualified to test race wings, at least at an Olympic level or whatever, but I can tell you I've ridden a lot of wings. This is some of the fastest stuff that I've ridden. You know, really it is in the upper echelon of speed for wings in comfort at speed, which really inspires you to go even faster, gives you the ability to do that and feel in control and not blow up because you're just so much going on. It's just, it's smooth, it's fast. It just makes you want to go even faster, which is awesome. I think that's really what we're after when we're doing that. So it achieves that for sure. As compared to a lot of other faster wings, especially the previous iterations of the mode in the Mode Pro, I would say this wing has a bit more grunt in the low end once you get it moving. The mode specifically took a little bit more speed to really build that power and that grunty feel. And the Mode Pro got it a little bit more low end. Now I would say the Ultra probably has a little bit a similar low end to the Mode Pro, but it just starts to feel that acceleration and that drive a little sooner. So right after you get it up, the thing just wants to take off like a rocket ship and accelerate and really build that apparent wind. And as you're building the apparent wind, you're building speed on top of speed, and that's really what you're after. Efficiency, building apparent wind, upwind angles, that's the name of the game. For that kind of riding, this one kills it. It's amazing upwind, it's fast, builds a lot of VMG, and quite good downwind as well. A lot of times that's kind of a variable where it's either this or that. It's either good upwind or it's good downwind. But I was really impressed by the downwind angles you can achieve with the Ultra as well. So those people running courses both upwind and downwind will be really stoked to find that out. And then also I think that does add another layer of usability for people that aren't hardcore about racing. They just want a fast wing that works in a lot of different conditions, and you don't need to have a specific race wing and then, okay, that's my race quiver. And then over here, yeah, that's my free ride wave quiver. I've been free riding with these a lot, riding in the waves with them as well. And it's a blast for that as well. So if you're somebody that likes to ride fast, but also wants to free ride and ride waves, this could be the ticket for you. It is an absolute blast. I have to say, You know, I prefer faster wings. It's how I like to ride. I like to ride faster foils, but I like also to have that ability to, you know, go boost a big jump, or, you know, ride some waves, or do some cool free ride tricks and wing handling and things like that. You're just going out there and having fun is the name of the game. And when you don't need to switch wings to do all those different things, and you're happy with it for all of that, that's just a really awesome bonus. So this is a wing I could definitely, you know, put in my quiver and just leave it and be really happy about that. So really stoked on that, that it's not such a pigeonholed niche race only wing, that, you know, for us everyday riders, we can have a lot of fun at it as well, and have, you know, the enjoyment of a wing that's so high performance and efficient, to go out there and pretend like we're in the Olympics and rip past our buddies and speed and go crazy until you blow up, if you're like me. So the Mode Ultra is really awesome. I think they really nailed it on all of those fronts, and I think they even opened up a selection of people that you normally wouldn't think of for a wing like this. So if you're somebody that likes to ride fast, or maybe you're even somewhere where your wind is really fluky and you get these huge gusts that you have to deal with, these forward traction wings handle that really well. So once you're up and riding, if a gust hits you, it's not gonna just pull you on your face. It's not gonna launch you out of control and blow up. You can just drive forward even more and build more speed. And it happens so much more smoothly. You don't even realize how crappy the wind is with a wing like this. So it's pretty cool. If you haven't ridden one, you definitely got to get on one and try it out. Now, what does the new canopy do for you? I think that's kind of the name of the game in this question. Why would you go with a Mode Ultra versus the Mode Pro? And I think the answer there is, number one, it's not the same wing with a different canopy. This is a totally redesigned wing. I do find the Ultra handles a little nicer for free riding for me. I just tend to prefer this kind of frame shape and sleeker canopy, and a little bit tighter cut towards the wingtips. I don't know why, it just tends to be an attribute I notice I like with wings. That's not to say I don't like the Mode Pro, because it's been one of my favorite wings in the past, but I do find that the Ultra for me has just a bit more intuitive handling. It's a bit quieter through the wind. It's definitely faster, it's definitely better upwind. And I attribute that to the shape and the canopy as well. The canopy itself is just so tight, it's so quiet. It doesn't wave and chatter like some of the ripstop canopies do that, you know, just don't hold tight. You notice when you power it up and you're just ripping on it, it doesn't deform and you don't see the wrinkles appear. Obviously, any wrinkles are extra drag. This thing is just, it almost looks like a rigid sail when you're powered and riding it. So, you know, it does hold that shape really well. And this canopy material has proven to be thus far very, very durable for me. I'm not noticing any wear after pounding on it for a few sessions, hitting it with my foil wings even, falling into it, stuff like that, and it looks brand new. So I do think this is going to be a unique peek into the future. And one thing we haven't mentioned yet is the price. You know, this wing is in the average really of similar sized wings in the market. You know, it's not like something like a Lula where you're paying twice as much for a wing with an Alula frame. The N-Weave and the NXI canopy come in at just kind of an average price. So it is really appealing if you're looking for those kinds of performance and technology, but don't have a mega budget to spend. This wing is definitely the quote-unquote budget winner in the race category. Most wings that are built for racing are going to be $2,000 to $3,000 to have this kind of performance, and this is directly comparable to that. So really amped on that. As a frugal person myself, that's exciting, and really excited to see more of Dano's designs from North. He is just always doing so well. I'm always loving his designs, so can't say enough. Thank you, Dano, for making these fun toys for us, and keep up the good work, guys, over at North in your materials departments and your design departments, because you guys are making some great wings these days, and we're really stoked on them. Now, what didn't we like about it? Who is this wing not for? I would say who this wing is not for is number one, progressing riders in lighter winds. So as I've mentioned a few times in the video, these wings are built for speed and performance. They want to be ridden with power. If you are riding lightly powered for the size wing you are on, it's not going to be a fantastic wing. It doesn't have that grunt and that lift like some wings do, where you can ride them 2 sizes too small and still make it happen. You want to ride these wings in the upper half of their wind range, in my opinion. So for me, 200 pounds, I'm riding a 5.5 in, we'll say 18 to 28 roughly. That's kind of like the magic zone for me. I can ride a little higher than that and still be pretty happy, but can't really ride it any lower than that and be happy. Of course, I can probably ride it down to 14 or 13 even with the right board and foil, but it's just gonna not feel like it's quite right. You know, like it wants to go faster, but it can't. So when in doubt, size up on any of these kinds of wings. Any of these faster wings, they have plenty of top end range. Go bigger when you need a little bit more power. You'll be happy to have that speed. You'll be happy to have that extra canopy to give you more drive and more power. It'll be easier to get up, and who doesn't like that? They're plenty fast, so you don't need to worry about that. The 4.8, for me, I start to pick this one up. It kind of depends on the conditions in the foil I'm riding, but I really like to start to pick up the 4.8 around the mid-20s. So, you know, I can pick it up as low as 20 if I have a little bigger foil, if I'm riding like 1,000 centimeter foil, and there's not a lot of wave action or a lot of current. But, you know, really that's 5.5 meter territory for me. So I usually wait to transition to the 4.8 until I'm seeing at least 23, 24 miles an hour. And then the 4.8 has plenty of power, and it's a ton of fun to ride, and you can ride smaller foils with it. That's the deal with the sizing. New riders can certainly ride one of these. It's not something that's so technical and difficult to ride that a new rider couldn't grab it, but you'd need to have proper power. So if you're in an area where you have predominantly light winds and you're a new rider, this isn't the wing for you. You might want to check out the Nova Pro or their Loft Pro models in the North lineup. Those are phenomenal in lighter winds, underpowered, and for new riders. So check those out if you are in that camp. What do I not like about it? I would say there's not a lot to dislike about this wing. Personally, nitpicking, inflation systems drive me crazy. These things are kind of big, they're knobby, they stick out. I think we can agree that we can eliminate the hose here. It's not that hard to move a hose 3 inches. These are kind of big, going to a high pressure sup inflation style that are a little sleeker, a little slimmer to the wing, and can just be put on, taken off. Don't need to screw in, unscrew. You know, for this thing, I go to pump it up, I gotta screw in this one, I gotta screw in that one, I gotta put the hose on, pump it up, clamp it off. You know, it's really, I think, a point where the industry can move to a singular inflation style. We can all agree on it. It's probably the high pressure style SUP inflatables that are also used in whitewater rafting, that are also used in air mattresses. It's widely available in terms of adapters and aftermarket pumps. It's sleeker. It's just, these are kind of out there and a little obnoxious visually. So again, minor nitpick, these valves work fantastic. They've been around forever. They work great. It's not like it takes that much more time to use them. You have to screw them in. But other than that, I don't have a lot bad to say. Things can always be lighter. Things can always be less expensive. Those are things that we always hope for. Give us all this stuff and all this performance, but also make it lighter and make it cost less. I think they've nailed the cost less part given the performance and the materials they're using here. The weight on these, I would say, is in the upper third in terms of lightweight. It's one of the 33% lightest wings on the market. But in terms of alternative materials, as I mentioned before, you can compare this against an Alula wing in terms of performance. This is gonna weigh just a little bit more. Part of that's the canopy. A little bit of it is the NWE 45, but it's still quite light. And some of that is the feeling of the wing, more so than the physical weight. So how a wing flies in the wind can either feel a little heavy or a little light, and usually that has little to do with how much the wing physically weighs and more so about how it flies. This wing is very clean into the wind. It luffs really nice for surfing, for jibes, for tacks. It's really well behaved. There's not a lot of downward pressure like you get with some wings. You go into a tack and it just wants to nosedive on you. You don't get that. It's really clean and efficient into the wind, so you can make those jibes and those tacks really easily. Yeah, can't say enough good about the North Ultra Mode Ultra here. Keep up the good work over there at North, guys. Dano, keep up the good work. You guys are killing it, and can't wait to see what other new exciting things we see in the future from them. Developing all these dedicated materials for our sport right in their own materials lab is pretty exciting to see what they can come up with and the prices they can come up with this stuff. Being that they can do that, they're not just picking materials off the shelf. They're like, this is what we want, let's go make it. Pretty cool stuff. So North Mode Ultra, excuse me. Ultra is the construction, Mode is the model. So this is their top tier performance wing this year, and can't wait to see what else they got coming for it. If y'all have any questions, comments, put them in the comment section below. If you've happened to ride one of these yet, I know there aren't very many of them out there yet, but I'd love to hear what you think, whether you liked it, what you liked, disliked, whatever. Let's get that conversation rolling. If you have any questions, maybe about sizing or building a quiver, contact us at the shop. You can send an email, pick up a phone call, use our website live chat, and we'll chat with you, make sure you're matched with the right gear for you, and get you rolling out there, having fun on these. This has been Tucker with MACkiteboarding.com, and we'll see you next time.